was just having fun. They were like my dad was like, oh, okay, that's a good hobby. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, and my mom didn't really care. She was just like, oh, okay, you're just doing your thing, because that's how our relationship has always been. I just go do my thing. And my parents, like, they know I'm usually always doing the responsible thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was that kid in the family where they were like, well, the other two are stressing us out, but this one can figure it out. Like, we don't have to worry. She's going to parent herself, which is true. A lot of the times I feel like I've self-parented.
Right. No, I think a lot of people, I can connect with that. A lot of people can connect with that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So tell me, I think comedians have one of the hardest jobs. And so in your opinion, what is the hardest thing about your job?
Oh, I mean, it's the basic thing of like coming up with new material that's funny. It's always going to be that thing, and continuing to find the drive, because some days you're just like, I don't want to do this, and you kind of do. It's like this happy medium of treating it like it's work, but also treating it like it's fun, because you need to feel both those things to come up with material and like work. Like, you have to keep working on it. That's the thing. So it's like, in that way, you do have to treat it like work, where it's like, oh, that was a funny thought. That was hilarious. Okay, but like, let me just build this out. Let me go work it out at a few open mics. Let me go put in the work. It's like putting in the work is a lot in stand up, and being okay with rejection.
Right.
Because that's the only way you can have a good bit, is like by working it out on stage and seeing what parts get rejected. And then you're like, oh, got it. They hated that. Okay, got it. Let me go write something else.
Gotcha.
And being okay with that process over and over.
That's hard. I mean, that's like feedback in real time en masse while you're on the spot. Like, that's not like, I think it's, like, because I'm in product. And so when we put features out there, you'll always have like people like, rate you in the app store. And I've been called like the spawn of the devil for changing and like all these ridiculous things. I'm like, yeah, okay. But it's always, there's a wall there, right? I can read it. I can take what I want. I can throw away whatever is nonsense, but I can't imagine standing on stage, like, having negative feedback thrown at me in person like that. Does that cause anxiety, or is it just like you're over that? Like, it's just what it is.
I think it's easier when you're doing an open mic, or it's like, if you bomb, that's what it's called. Like, you're bombing. I just bombed my set. So it's like, if I'm at an open mic and I bomb, it's okay. That's fine. I'm like, whatever. This is just comedians. Doesn't matter. Stings a little bit, but you're like, okay, I got it. But if you're at a show, you want to crush every time. And like, sometimes you bomb and you feel it for a couple of days. And some shows you're just like, you get better at it. I think I'm getting better at it, where it's like, I don't take it personally anymore. I'm like, okay, that means that material didn't work. That doesn't mean I suck as a person.
Right.
And you just have to really be good at separating yourself a little bit
from that. Have you ever felt like you're a failure throughout this process and been like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I can't.
Oh yeah. There have been, this might be a little too much to throw at everyone, but like, I've wanted to quit several times, and it gets you to that point. And then the pandemic, where we couldn't perform for a year, and that made me really reevaluate and think, like, what am I doing? Am I even a comedian? I was really scared. I kind of had a full identity crisis, and I was like, I don't know. For me, it's been healthy to be like, I'm a person that does comedy, and like, I've learned to create a little bit of a separation so that I don't put all my self-worth in being a comedian, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because then if you put all your self-worth into that, then every time you go on stage and something doesn't go the way you want it to go, you are going to hate you. And that's something that I just didn't want to deal with anymore.
One thing you mentioned, earlier in our phone conversation is that the comedy that you write right now draws a lot from like the grief that you experienced earlier in life, and you just want to put a happier lens on it. So what are like some of like the most, I guess, profound memories that you draw from when you're writing your comedy?
Well, I think that like, comedy is tragedy plus time. So kind of how that dynamic works. I talk about like lately I've been talking about high school and middle school and how ugly I felt and how I didn't feel hot until I worked at Macy's and they gave me a hot uniform. Like I had to wear like a skin tight black dress. Well, it didn't have to be skin tight, but that's what I chose. And it was like in a full face of makeup. And I was like, oh my God, I am just the baddest funeral slut. Like I thought I was so hot. And like my mom hated it. And I was like, this is the first time I get to be like womanly right now. Like in a Pakistani household, it's like, you can't like, they want you to have a dupatta around you at all times.
Oh yeah. Make sure your shirt is covering your hips. Like things can't be like, no, I get it. Yep. Yeah.
Everything has to be fully covered. And I am more conservative because of that. I'm like, for me, I am still upholding that stuff because I'm used to it. Not to say it's right or wrong, but that's just what I am. And yeah, so I've been talking a lot about how I didn't get to like feel like I was pretty or anything until later in life. And I was just like, felt like such a loser, nerdy kid. So I talk about that now a little bit. I talk about my brother's stuff a lot because mental illness, Muslim families, no one talks about it. So
you pray it away, right?
You pray it away. You marry them away. It's just get them married.
Yeah, that fixes everything. And if not, then have kids, then have more kids.
Yeah, just keep having kids. They just need to be busy.
That'll fix the problem. Yeah.
I know some people might watch this and be like, yeah, that is the solution. Like, no.
Are they being sarcastic? We don't understand.
Exactly. They're not following.
They're really not getting it. They're not getting it.
But so I talk about that. I talk about my older sister. I have a sister from my dad's first marriage.
Oh, okay.
She's like, yeah, so my sister's white, but she's also Pakistani.
Oh.
And yeah, and she was raised in Pakistan, in Lahore, in my grandma's house.
Okay.
Because I don't know why. I think she was just spoiled as a child. Like my dad would always be like, well, he just like kind of let her do what she wanted. He had custody. And we love her birth mom. We love Vicky. She's like a big part of our lives and I adore her. Like she's my own mom. But my sister, she would go to Pakistan and like live lavishly in my grandma's house. And then whenever she was like tired of it, she'd be like, I want to go see dad. And then she would come back to me. And then when things were too like crazy here, she'd be like, I want to go back to grandma. So, so my sister's just traveling and she's like 12 years older than me. So by the time I was like 4, 5, 6 even, people were like, oh yeah, you have a sister. And I was like, where is she? Right. I have an absent sister.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, that makes sense.
And she was just like in Pakistan and then she would come home and I'm like, okay, who is this white woman sister of mine? Like,
yeah, and she was much older than you, I guess. And so you guys never really connected.
So we didn't connect until, I mean, it was very big sister. She still bossed me around and made me just like, on her end, she was like, yeah, I own you. And on my end, I was like, I don't, what?
Who are you? Like,
you prepared me for this.
Yes.
I was so lost.
Before we wrap up, there's one question that I ask everybody. The show is called Shaam Ki Chai. So I want to hear about the Shaam Ki Chai traditions in your home. What was it like? What did you guys eat and talk about and drink? Tell me everything.
Yes. Okay. So chai is like, it's a very important piece in my house. Like, obviously, I feel like a lot of Pakistani households, everyone's drinking chai. Yeah. My mom, she makes chai. Yeah, it's like always with milk and water, the regular chai with like 2 lychees usually. Right. And it's usually not that strong. So what I've done my whole life is, because my dad will drink it, my mom will drink it. And then for me, I'll just like put like another tea bag inside of it when I'm drinking it, just to make it a little stronger, give it a little kick for myself.
Okay.
And yeah. And then my parents will eat, what do you call that? Like cake rusk?
Yes, cake rusks. Yep.
Yes. So they'll eat cake rusk. I tried it, not into it. I respect it.
Okay.
So for me, I just I'll just go, I'm a weirdo. So I'll just go with like cookies, like chocolate chip cookies, or I'll take like a Hershey's, like a Hershey bar, like a small one, just dip it in the chai. And like,
I have never heard of that before. That's so interesting.
It's so weird. I mean, Like, I'll dip anything sweet into my chai.
Thanks, guys, for watching. I will be back with another episode of Shaam Ki Chai. Take care.